Hello all informers, welcome to the Lopius channel. In here, we will discuss some information that you already know or you don't know. Before that, let's opening first.
In a war that occurs due to the conflict of two or more countries, it certainly causes losses. Not only does it take many lives, the war will also cause financial losses between the two parties. Of the various wars in the world that have occurred, here are the 3 wars that cost the most.
Vietnam War.
The Vietnam War was a long, divisive conflict between the Communist government of North Vietnam against South Vietnam and its main ally, the United States, U.S. More than 3 million people died in the Vietnam War, and more than half of the dead were Vietnamese civilians. Meanwhile, the losses from the war that occurred between 1961 and 1975 cost around $728 billion. Even the Vietnam War was also one of the ideas of the famous film, the film Rambo.
Afghanistan and Iraq War.
The Afghan War began in 2011 when the United States, U.S., retaliated for the September 11th attacks or the 9/11 tragedy, which was masterminded by Al-Qaeda. In Afghanistan, Al-Qaeda was protected by the Taliban, which the U.S. fought for 20 years. The Taliban in power in Afghanistan at the time protected Osama bin Laden and his Al-Qaeda movement, which carried out the 9/11 attacks. The operation opened a military front to the U.S. war on terrorism, and within weeks U.S.-led forces toppled the Taliban, which has been in power since 1996. About 1,300 American troops landed in November 2001, then increased to almost 10,000 the following year. America's attention was diverted from Afghanistan when U.S. troops invaded Iraq in March 2003 to overthrow its president Saddam Hussein. The war continued until the NATO alliance ended its combat mission in Afghanistan in 2014. This long war certainly incurs very high costs, which are estimated to reach $153 billion. World War II. The global war that lasted from 1939 to 1945 involved many countries in the world, including the great powers that eventually formed 2 conflicting military alliances, namely the Allies and the Axis. This world war became one of the worst wars that ever happened in the world, because almost all countries in the world feel it. During World War II, a total of 418,500 people were declared dead, of which 416,800 were military and the rest were civilians. This war maximizes the entire country's ability to engage in economic, industrial, and scientific purposes of war. So don't be surprised if this war costs the most expensive, which is approximate $400 billion. War is not a profitable and good way to solve a problem. And in every war there must be a lot of loss, both soul and material. Thank you all informers who have watched this video to the end. If there is any other information that is lacking or needs to be conveyed, please write it in the comments column. See you again in the next video.